All right, morning everyone. I am back from my 2 week trip in Japan and I'm going to hit the ground running here. So I got Liam Tennis from Pittsburgh, investor agent, and also we have a new guest. We got Sarah Bloom here. I saw her on
Hey,
Coach Carson's channel, and she has actually ties to Pittsburgh. So welcome, Sarah.
thank you.
Yeah, maybe quickly introduce yourself and where you're currently located now.
Thanks for having me on. I'm currently located in Metro Detroit area, Macomb County, and I'm originally from Lansing, Michigan, so about an hour and 20 minutes from here. So I grew up in Michigan, been traveling around I worked in commercial construction as a project manager, so I've been traveling around for the past 8 years doing that. I landed in Pittsburgh last year to work on I was there for a couple of years to work on the airport job out there, and that's where I started investing. Fell in love with real estate and joined the Taggart team and really took off my investing career. And then wanted to make it back home, so moved back here to Metro Detroit. Think they're pretty similar markets and still a really good place to invest.
Awesome. So Liam, did you guys overlap at all, you and Sarah, when she was in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, for sure. I think I don't know what maybe a year and a half or something, Sarah.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
I
you
I
were coming to the
wasn't
meetups at some point. That's how got started with
yeah.
everything.
Yeah, I came to the meetups. That's how I met pretty much everyone. And Liam went full-time agent and was crushing it and still is. I didn't do that. I was too scared honestly to do that commission. And I took the property management route and I kind of switched careers and went into property management. And that was honestly best decision I made for myself. So that really helped me gain a lot of knowledge.
Cool. Do you want to maybe touch on a little bit the similarities or differences in maybe Pittsburgh and kind of the Detroit market that you're at now?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that I've seen is inventory. I mean, I think the inventory is a lot lower in Detroit market, especially on market. There's still obviously off market deals always, but on market inventory is a lot lower. When I first was coming here, I was kind of checking Zillow and stuff, and I thought my settings were wrong because the inventory was so low. But as I started talking with other agents and learning the market, that's just the inventory. I mean, I think it's low everywhere, but it's, in Pittsburgh, you probably have, you have hundreds on the market at a time, between 2 to 4 units, and here you might have like 50. So it's a lot lower on market. But some similarities is I think you can still find those good deals in cash flow, and the prices are still really, really, really easy to enter. Also, there's still the pockets. It's pretty similar to Pittsburgh with the pockets, where Pittsburgh can be pretty street by street. You have a neighborhood that's one street is maybe not the best area, but a couple over. It's a great place to be. So it's pretty similar to that as well. I think the city itself too. Um, it's a little bit behind, I'd say, than Pittsburgh, but uh, it's definitely growing, and more people are looking to invest in the actual city.
All right, like I mentioned earlier too, I've been gone for about 2 weeks. So Liam, maybe has anything changed in the Pittsburgh real estate market since I've been gone?
Oh man, we had huge news yesterday. Because there was that AI and energy summit thing that happened yesterday at Carnegie Mellon University. So like Trump and his entire cabinet and all these CEOs were in town for that. And there was a huge announcement for, I think the total was like $92 billion worth of investment in
Mm.
AI infrastructure, data centers, natural gas, and all these types of things over the next however many years, coming to the greater Pittsburgh area mostly, and then also some other parts of PA as well. So, I mean, that's huge. Like, I mean, I got kind of like some of it summarized here, and we can go through it at some point. But yeah, a massive amount of investment was just announced yesterday. some of the headlines have been like, Pittsburgh to become AI capital of the world, or like Silicon Valley of the East, and all this types of stuff. And it's finally hitting like national news, like national headlines. And we've kind of seen that coming for the past like several years. Like I know we had such a strong like AI and tech kind of hub here with Carnegie Mellon and some of the companies that were already here, some autonomous vehicle companies and stuff like that. So we had a pretty good tech and AI scene here already. And we kind of saw some stuff brewing. But after that announcement yesterday, I mean, it's just going to explode here in the next however many years. I think it was like 15,000 jobs were announced once these all get kind of built up and stuff. Plenty more construction jobs over the next however many years as well during the build out. But yeah, that's a big change. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll dig
It's
into
crazy.
that. I think I'm not sure if it's you or Jeremy. I think you folks also shared it on your Instagram page. So,
Yep.
like I said, I put their contact in the chat. But I just want to say good morning to everyone. We got Flavio here in Washington. We got Andy here, who is in Ohio, but he's actually in Myrtle Beach. I think he messaged me this morning. We got Val, Cody, Harrison's here from Virginia, and he says yes, Sarah had a great interview on Coach Carson, and we can also talk about that on her if she's in that community, or how does she know Coach Carson and whatnot. But we also had Denzel on recently. He's an agent investor in Detroit, and he's always talking about how people kind of have maybe a little misconception of that market. So is that what you're
Yeah.
noticing also, Sarah, since you've moved there?
Yeah, I think there's always been of Detroit, just in general. People, when they hear Detroit, they just think it's, even before I moved here, back here, I mean, my family's all originally from Detroit in the area. You say you're moving to Detroit, people are like, Detroit, that's not a good place. Like, because they don't know, they've never been, they see on the news and all that, but it's, far from true. It's the Detroit has come up incredibly in, the past 20, 30 years. Even now it's continuing to grow. So I do think the city is different than the metro area, but that's like most areas. But I do think it's a great place to invest.
Is there anything that you could maybe touch on, kind of like how Liam mentioned, the AI infrastructure boom coming to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area? Is there something like
Yeah.
that in Detroit?
Honestly, not that I'm aware of now. I know there's more on the other end of things. Like they're talking about passing bills that actually kind of hinder landlords, but I don't think a lot of them will pass. Um, it's all talk a lot of the time. I think I would say overall, Detroit is a more tenant-friendly state, or city. Michigan in general is a tenant-friendly state, but there's nothing that I'm aware of. Denzel might know a little bit more, but nothing like that as big as the AI.
Also, Harrison also mentioned, Sarah, do you feel that the international investors are different than Pittsburgh? I hear more crypto bros going for Detroit.
There definitely is a lot of crypto. It's actually funny because there are a lot of people that I've talked to that I know people that have used crypto for a lot of things, like to buy businesses. So maybe that's just coincidence. I don't know, but I mean, I'd say we have the international investors are pretty much the same from the same areas too. A lot of people from Israel and that we had a lot of that in Pittsburgh as well. And then even like within the US, a lot of people from California that come here to the Detroit market as well. But I'm not sure if there's necessarily a correlation between the crypto.
Cool. Yeah, so Liam, did you want to also share some things about the AI stuff that you're mentioning that you were digging into?
Yeah. I mean, I'll just kind of spew off a couple names here, but like Google announcing a $25 billion data center expansion in Beaver County, Westmoreland County, um, Pittsburgh area researching cloud AI. First Energy. So there's $15 billion grid modernization. Same thing, Allegheny County, Butler, Beaver, Washington. $15 billion from Nighthead Capital, Westinghouse Electric, $6 billion in activities. So Westinghouse is going to be building out some nuclear facilities. I think they announced like 10 across the country, but there's going to be a few of them in the greater Pittsburgh, surrounding county, Pennsylvania areas. Meta announcing 2.5 million in rural and small business AI training and startup incubation, so they can get people trained up. Brookfield and Google hydropower, another $3 billion. So that's just a few. I mean, it totals to be like 90 billion or something. But yeah, the impact that's going to have is insane over the next 5 or 10 years or whatever. And I think nice thing is we have like relatively cheap housing stock here. So for all those workers, like they got to live somewhere, so they can generally find low cost of living places to live. And we have a lot of housing stock that's just dilapidated that will, I'm sure, see get turned over and renovated. And some of these towns that have been a little sleepy since, the manufacturing boom or whatever kind of died off back in the day, we might see those get rejuvenated again. But yeah, the kind of giving us a picture of, we're probably going to have a decent amount of appreciation here over the next 10 years or whatever, along with, if you can get in sooner than later before you miss the boat, have some cash flow in the meantime as well.
Would there be any maybe zip codes you think that more specifically you're seeing the AI might impact?
Not off the top of my head in terms of zip codes, but I would say a lot of the river towns kind of up along towards like, into Washington County and stuff. The Ambridge of, Ambridge
Yeah,
Conway, Sarah knows about Ambridge. But a
that's
lot of
good
these
for
river
me.
towns, yeah, that is good for you. You'll see some nice appreciation over the long term. But I would say river towns in general, the ones that have been a little sleepy but are along the rivers, kind of up into Beaver County, and then maybe around the airport down into Washington County as well. It sounds like they're going to be announcing stuff like the locations of these at some point, and that sounds like where they're going to be. So TBD on when we really know where the growth is going to happen, but the investment's been announced and kind of all of the counties kind of surrounding Pittsburgh and Allegheny County. So
Yeah, I love it. I think we have a lot of people in my community kind of pivoting, looking at Pittsburgh now that kind of all this relationships that we're building there. But like I mentioned to you earlier, Sarah, off camera, we do have some people that are investing in Detroit in our
Hmm.
community, and they're always their biggest thing is the management side, property management, and
Yeah.
struggling with some of those issues. So what would you say, or maybe if they reach out to you, like, are you working with a lot of out-of-state investors or clients, I guess, as far as managing properties for them?
Yeah, absolutely. Our CEO is, originally from Iran, so he has a lot of connections internationally still. But then he's actually he has some connections in California. He's actually heading there in a couple of weeks to go out there and meet with some investors. So I mean, we'll manage. I think a lot of our clients, probably the majority, are actually out of state. Because if you have one or two here and there, typically people will manage it themselves. But yeah, I mean, feel free to reach out. And I think the biggest complaint I hear from a lot of people is communication, not the lack of communication with clients. Even in Pittsburgh, I hear that too. With Liam and I were just talking about that before we jumped on. And then just I think not being transparent with costs and receiving a bill that's double what you were told or you weren't told. So I think that's important to me. And I run a lot of the operation stuff, and we're working to kind of create better systems so we can help owners and with that transparency. So yeah, I think there are good property management companies out there, but I think they do get a bad rap.
Yeah, do you think you being an investor also, so your property, you still have properties in Pittsburgh, correct?
Yeah, I have the two in Ambridge. I have 5 units in Ambridge. And I'm looking here right now. It's a little bit harder on market. The prices are inflated because there's less inventory. So I'm trying to find a better deal off market. But yeah, I do still have mine in Ambridge.
Are you self-managing those or you're with a property
Yeah, I
manager?
self-manage and I was doing everything. I just actually reached out to Jeremy, see if he could help me with some leasing because he has one in Ambridge, so they're gonna help me with the leasing of one I have now. I'm just really busy, so I don't have as much time. So, but all is like the maintenance and everything, I do all that. Yeah.
All right, I think a couple of people also mentioned it in the chat already. So you, like I said, you were on Coach Carson's channel.
Yeah.
Coach Carson spoke at the One Rental at a Time event the first year, Michael
Yeah.
Zuber's 50K subscriber event, and just coincidentally, Coach Carson is going to be in the live school community on Friday for Michael Zuber. But so, what's your relationship with Coach? Are you part of that program or? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm his mastermind, RPM, Rental Property Mastery. I found that, oh, maybe 2 years ago now. Hasn't been around for super long, maybe 3 years, and, I first found him at Bigger Pockets, we all went there, and I found him there years ago, and it really resonated with him, and he's just a very humble guy, and he just purely wants to help other investors grow. And so I really liked his idea of you need to find your, financial number, and then you kind of can work back from there. So, if you want to live a certain lifestyle, you want to own 10 Bugattis, then, maybe you need to make more. You might need to own this amount of properties or these types of properties. So, but then the whole concept is, the small and mighty investor, meaning like, I think there's a lot of pressure with some of these big guys like, Grant Cardone and Rob Cleef, where it's like you want to own thousands of units and you don't have to do that. And it doesn't mean that you're not still a good investor. It doesn't mean that you can't still, you know, be financially free, but you have to find out what that means for you. It means differently for all three of us. So I really resonated with that, and I jumped on a call with his team, and I joined the group, and it's a really good group. They're always trying to roll out new things, trying to help other investors connect, even investors not in my area, because I only have one or two that invest in the Detroit area, but we're still connecting about different strategies and processes and stuff like that. So yeah, I recommend anybody check it out. I know he's said he was going to cap out the group number, but I'm not sure where he's at right now.
Yeah, Coach Carson is a great guy, and I think that's a lot of people in our community relate to that, like that small and mighty investor. And if
Yeah.
you haven't seen it yet, I put the link to the interview with Coach Sarah and Coach Carson in the chat, so go check it out. There's a great interview. Yeah, I think a lot of people like that small and mighty, and and I
Hmm.
think that's even why a lot of people in our community are kind of like Pittsburgh also, because like Liam touched on, it's kind of under the radar right now. It hasn't, you don't get that great appreciation like some other markets. It has a low entry point, so a lot of people do like investing there.
Yeah.
So Sarah, I'm going to put you on the hot spot real quick though.
Yeah.
If you had a choice to invest in Pittsburgh or Detroit, and you were an out-of-state investor, which
Mhm.
market would you invest in?
Right now, I think I'm biased because I know Pittsburgh more, so I would pick Pittsburgh. I just really like that market. I miss it honestly. And literally last night I was just thinking if I had more capital, I would be reaching out to the guys and say, "Hey, we need to find something." And I think at some point I will. Excuse me, but for now, I do think it's a really good market. There's so many options, so many great spots, the city itself and surrounding that, there's just a lot of money to be made. So I would pick that market, but I also want people to come here. But if you had to pick one,
Great answer. Great answer. I like that. I know Liam has touched on also before, like a different pockets, right? It's so hard to
Mhm.
understand kind of the Pittsburgh market. Is that how Detroit is also, like by zip code? It's really zip code specific.
I think it is, yeah, and I think even with the city, it's even more. The city is its own beast, I'd say, and, like, if you really wanna cash flow, go to the city, that's even more, you know, even more pockets, and there was some neighborhoods, Bagley is one of the neighborhoods where there was a bunch of investors came in and flipped, and so those prices went way up, but you still have, maybe like D class areas that'll be surrounding an area that's up and coming, so that deters people from, like going to those areas sometimes to live, and invest in. But if you want to cash flow, the entry is easier in the actual city, and then there's still pockets, right? But then you have pockets in the city where it's very expensive, like Bagley, now to get in. So I think there's still pockets in the metro area too, but not as much as I think the actual city. Where I'd even say like in Pittsburgh, there's more pockets in like the metro areas too. Even like Ambridge has its pockets as well, where I have my properties.
Awesome. Liam, maybe you can also touch on what you're seeing. Is inventory rising or anything in Pittsburgh right now? Because we're kind of seeing that across the country right now. A lot of areas inventory is ticking up. Is that what's happening in Pittsburgh also?
Yep. So we have a bit more inventory. I think sellers are still a little stubborn on the pricing, so that could be one of the reasons we're seeing more inventory. Is things are just priced a little bit higher. The gap between buyers and sellers are a little bit higher, so things aren't moving as quickly, sitting on the market a little bit longer. So kind of entering a little bit more of a buyer's market, which is nice. But the good properties, like the really good 2 to 4 units, are still kind of flying off the shelves. Sometimes getting multiple offers pushed over asking price, stuff like that. But in general, yeah, we're seeing more inventory.
Flavio, who hasn't made his joke yet about having to wear a bulletproof vest investing in Pittsburgh, he also made that comment about Detroit the other week. But he says, Liam, for a new investor in Pittsburgh, what is your recommendation? Hmm.
I'd say, I mean, connect with a good agent. They can kind of point you in the right direction. Like they can kind of discuss what you're looking for, whether you're prioritizing cash flow versus appreciation. Uh, how important a really good tenant base or like ease of management is, what your price range is, and then from there can kind of dial in what pockets of the city or what types of neighborhoods or what types of investments you should be looking for to kind of accomplish that. And the other thing is like, and Sarah knows too, we kind of are able to provide a lot of different resources and contacts for people when they get started here to make sure everything goes smoothly once you kind of get rolling. So yeah, connect with like some rock star agent, or and then once you or lender or whatever, and then they can kind of pass you along to other people who are going to help you kind of accomplish what you're looking for.
That's what Mikey Honda, who's also in Hawaii, who invests in Pittsburgh with me also. But that's what he really liked also. I guess he reached out to you before Liam and Jeremy. But you guys gave him like a list of like this is
Yeah,
from
I
yeah.
remember when Mikey reached out, he's like, you guys got any, like, I don't know. He was reaching out for contacts or whatever. And I have a running list now of like all my types of contacts, whether it's lenders, attorneys, property managers, handymen, contractors. So I just sent them the entire list. I was like, here, have at it.
Yeah, so he really appreciated that, and one of the names on there was Greg Bailing, handyman
Mm-hmm.
contractor. So Greg just tuned in from Instagram. So what's up, Greg? He was on maybe right before I went to Japan, so we got to get him back
Yeah, that
on.
was a good one. That was a good one.
Yeah, I love Greg, man. He's a hustler, man.
Yeah,
But
he's great. He used to come to the meetups too. I don't know if you ever met him, Sarah, but he was at the meetups a bunch.
he's a
I've
he's a
probably seen
legal
him then.
chemist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He is a legal chemist. And then next week I'm gonna have the Deacon back on with. Hopefully we'll have Omar. Omar said he's gonna be on, so we'll have Omar and
Finally.
the Deacon back on next week. But yeah, Sarah, maybe same question from Flavio, but just for Detroit. So a new investor, what is your recommendation in Detroit if they're reaching out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think Liam's answer was great. I think that's also a sign of a good agent too. If they have those connections, you go to them and they're able to give you, even before you're working together, they are able to connect you with multiple people. That's their job. One of the things I talked about in the interview with Coach Carson was like, and we talk about all the time, is building your team. I think it's important to figure out what your strengths are and then kind of figure out who can help you along the way. If you try to do it all yourself, it's going to be, you can do it, sure, but it's going to be overwhelming. We have careers in other people for a reason. So you find those people that can help you and they'll help you build your team. And maybe you have some other strength, like maybe you don't need a handyman because you know how to do all that yourself, but you need an agent to help you find, and maybe you have a lender friend, whatever it may be. But don't try to do it all yourself. Like Liam said, find an agent, and they should be able to connect you with all the resources that you need. But I think specifically an investor agent, in my opinion, I think that there's a lot of agents, but I was just at a BNI group last week. I've been going to those, and one agent there, she's like, I only work with, just people that are looking for their forever homes, and they don't understand investing. So you could go to that person, but they're not gonna they're not gonna help you the way that you need to be helped and run the numbers, and it's very different. So I think that's important too, finding an agent that understands investing and the operations.
I think you also mentioned were in construction or have a construction background. Does that
Yeah.
help you, you think, from the property management side or even the investing side?
Oh yeah, a lot. I did commercial project management, so I was on very, very big, like $1 million jobs, but it's still the same at the end of the day, the way you build things. And that definitely helped me a lot. And I think that's one of the things that kind of clicked for me is like, okay, you have this background. So that's why I went into the maintenance side and was running the maintenance at my last job, because I understood all that and I was handling all the unit turns and all that stuff as well. So it's just on a smaller scale.
All right. So let's see what else we got here. Then I don't see any more questions right now. Um, Maybe Liam, any warning signs, think maybe going on in the Pittsburgh area is like appraisals coming in low? Are you having issues with inspection reports or kind of what red flags might be popping up? Anything?
No red flags. I mean, recently I've had I feel like lenders across the board are tightening up a little bit. So maybe like a bit more requirements or underwriting requirements, or maybe like condition requirements. I've been getting more of like, oh, like an appraisal comes back and they want you to address this one or two things in order to get it passed. Um, Small stuff like that, that's been coming up more often. I feel like that's kind of across the industry though. Just like the financial landscape, the interest rate environment and stuff like that. Um,
Same with property insurance.
yeah, insurance too.
That's been a pain.
Yep, yep. It's kind of
In Detroit also? Is that
Just I think in general, all over, I think the rates have increased. And just made it harder and just more requirements too, I think, from
yeah,
what
I
I've
think
seen.
yeah, so I think I mentioned Denzel, who's also an agent in Detroit. He kind of just
Mhm.
went through that situation. He had a fire at his place maybe about a year ago, actually, and he kind of discovered, like his policy didn't cover it properly, or some. I believe he has like an ADU, or so somehow the policy didn't count that ADU unit or what or some, but there was some sort of issue with his insurance
Yeah,
policy, so he had to come out of pocket a lot more than he thought he was going to have to. But so now he learned a lot, he said, but now he also feels comfortable, like if he was to have to even build an ADU, starting over, or on his next project, he'd have all the kind of resources and blueprint and,
yeah,
and figuring it out. So let's. I think I may have heard through the grapevine also you may be having some sort of plumbing issue at one of your rentals in Ambridge, and I think some other people in our community is dealing with kind of the same things with the
Yeah.
terracotta plumbing. Is that what's going on with you right now?
Yeah, I had to, well, I have 2 things. I can touch on insurance again too. I had an issue with that, but, with the plumbing, yeah, recently I had to have my line replaced. I knew it was going to happen, because when I recommend doing a camera on everything if you can. It's always worth it, especially in Pittsburgh. I
Yeah.
think it's a little better here. It's not as hilly here. It's a little bit better, but still I recommend doing it. But, I did it, and when I went to get the property, they couldn't make it through the trap, so I knew there was something there already, so I was able to get the property for lower too, so I was like, "Alright, I know I'm gonna have to do this at some point," but I didn't wanna do it at the time, and the seller would give any more. So I've been waiting for it, and, like, last year, I had a backup, and so then I'm like, all right, it's gonna happen. And then one sign of a backup is like if your toilet's gurgling, that could be a sign of a backup. And so I had a tenant say my toilet's gurgling. It's so weird. I'm like, oh crap, here we go. So I was able to catch it before, and I just said do it. So I got some connections I have there, and all of it was done while I was here. So, just because I built connections there that I trust, so they replaced everything, the P trap, and there was a little bit of the line that need to be, or not the P trap, the house trap, a little bit of the line that need to be replaced as well. But yeah, that wasn't a fun cost, but it's one of those things that if you know about it, you budget for it, but also you hopefully don't have to do it again for a very long time. So
Yeah, I think all great points, and I think I had a discussion on that with someone recently, but it's kind of as long as you know it going into it, like you said, you recommend
yeah,
doing the sewer scope, and at least you have an idea and you can kind of prepare for it. And it also allows you to negotiate and maybe get a better deal on the property. So
definitely.
I think it's not something to just completely write it off and say, oh, because it has terracotta, I'm not gonna, purchase this property. It's as long as I know it's there and I have the resources where I can address it. And but it also, like you said, it allows you to maybe leverage and get a better deal on this property.
Yeah.
Flavio is asking on the tenancy side, how long takes to find a good tenant? Um, Maybe Sarah, you can touch on that first in your market.
Yeah, I think it just depends on a lot of things, where the property is located, um, and then I think biggest thing is where it's located, and then kind of the time of year. Like right now is people are typically, moving more in the summertime. If it's December, it's a little bit slower. Sometimes it can be harder, but also price. If your owner is a stickler and you're working with a client, they really want to be at a certain price, you know, sometimes, and we try to advise them, "Hey, we don't think that price is gonna move." We have to work with the owner on that too, but, I mean, I typically say it really depends, like, we've had places lease in a week. It's in a really, really hot location, and sometimes it takes a month or more depending on, you know
Liam, what about you? I know you don't do as much property management things, but do you have any kind of take on the how long it may take to find a good tenant in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I do some leasing for clients on a case by case basis, but I would say pretty much same as Sarah, like a couple weeks, maybe a month is pretty, to be expected. If you're kind of in the winter months, maybe a little bit longer, a couple more weeks than it normally would take. Just because, yeah, like Sarah said, less people are moving, less people are looking during that time of the year. But a couple weeks or a month.
I know, we kind of touched on like Pittsburgh, like the hills, terracotta older homes, plumbing. Sarah, what would be kind of the biggest things for people to watch out for in the Detroit market, I guess?
like, as far as plumbing or in general?
In general, when look, so like I think a lot of people maybe their first investment property are looking at Pittsburgh and they get
Mhm.
the inspection report. It's always kind of like a damp basement or somewhat,
Yeah,
wet.
that's what I
Yeah.
was gonna say. I think water issues, but I think at the end of the day, knowledge is power. I was just watching a video on this last night where if you see something that like we'll just use hard lid ceiling for example, and it's fallen down and all the guts up there are out and it's, insulation and everything. Someone might look at that and be like, oh my gosh, this is a nightmare. But if you know how to take care of it, that's not that hard to re-drywall that. So I think it could be relative in some ways, because I get water by basement and bridge, but that's just because it's always like that. I mean, and now it depends. If it's 4 feet of water, then that's a different issue. But I think knowing that a little bit of water that happens in foundation issues sometimes. Now, if you plan to finish the basement, that's different. But I think that is definitely a thing out here. Is some areas are lower, so you do get some water. But if you understand that, and you're not planning to finish the basement or anything like that, and it's not 4 feet of water, then you might be able to get a good deal on something that someone wants to pass on because they see water and they freak out. So same thing with the sewers. It's if you can going back to knowledge is power, the owner might not even know the condition of their line. So if you get that done and you know what it is, then you can, like you said, kind of leverage at that as well and educate the seller. So I think those are the common things we see here too. It's the same there in Pittsburgh.
So Liam, how do you help new investors maybe navigate, like a sewer scope, or if they find terracotta plumbing and whatnot, or the damp basement? Like, how do you help these new investors kind of navigate these type of reports?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I agree with Sarah, like knowledge is power. So really what they need to do is, I mean, we kind of need to frame what they're seeing on an inspection report or sewer scope a little bit. Like if they have no knowledge of the normal average condition of a property in Pittsburgh, then they're going to see that stuff and be freaked out. But if
Yeah.
we can frame it for them in a way where like, this is pretty typical for what we see. This is common. This is how you address it. Yeah, 4 feet of water is obviously an issue, but a little bit of dampness is normal. They might not know a little bit of dampness or an old terracotta line is normal. So a lot of we do is help, especially with the out of state investors, help frame what they're seeing on those reports and those sewer scopes in a way where it's like we're letting them know that's about average or common for the area rather than some outlier that's going to be a real issue. Because if it's just common and, to be expected for a lot of the housing stock here, then that's fine. We can use that as negotiation purposes, keep it in the back of our head when we close that it'll need addressed at some point, and then kind of go from there. But what we don't want is making like false assumptions about something they're seeing on the inspection report and kind of shooting themselves in the foot because of that.
Uh, I don't know if this is a real question, but or if this is serious, but thanks for stopping by, Benj, I believe. It says Sarah manages some properties I rent for my meth labs. But um,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So Liam, Steven's not here. He's in Canada and looking to invest in the States.
Yep.
But he did send me a question the other day, and I'm not sure if he sent it to you, but maybe you can touch on it. And Sarah, you can think about it too. I don't know if brick homes are, if there's a lot of those in Detroit, but his
Yeah,
question was, what's your thoughts on brick homes, and do people prefer them, Liam?
I think so. I like brick homes.
I do.
You might have some settling over time, natural settling of the property and some like stair step cracks in the mortar and stuff, but generally they hold up better, I think. So I mean, between the two, I would prefer brick homes rather than like stick built. But at the same time, I wouldn't use that as like a deciding factor. Like if there's two great deals, one of them's brick, one of them's stick built, I'd probably go with the brick, but I wouldn't pass up a great stick built deal just hoping to find a brick, single family or multi unit or whatever. So yeah, if you find a good brick property, it's kind of a win. But yeah, not a deciding factor in my mind.
I think
Yeah, I
Sarah, you
agree.
kind of yeah. So is there a lot of brick homes in Detroit?
I don't think in the actual city, yes. There's some of the cities or some of the properties in the actual city are gorgeous, but a lot of them are abandoned. So it's, too bad, but in some of the areas, but I think in the city there are a lot. I think there's more in Pittsburgh though, but we're pretty similar construction. It's a little different here. The homes are a little different here. They're more, I guess Pittsburgh, they did have a lot of the old home, bedrooms on the these are more ranch style. A lot of the Pittsburgh, it's, second floor, 3-bedroom homes. First floor is the bathroom and the kitchen, and then they would convert those. But here it's more ranch style, and they might convert that. They might split it or something, and then they make a duplex out of that. But there are brick, but I'd say there's more in Pittsburgh. But I love brick. I'm not gonna like only buy brick, but I if I can, I will. I just think it looks really nice and it's easier to maintain.
Hmm.
So Ben said, yeah, sorry, he was just joking. But Andy
Hey,
says, but
if you pay rent, that's fine.
yeah, so Andy says, those properties probably cash flow better than meth labs.
Some money
Yeah.
Um,
makers.
but
Yeah.
Harrison has a question for you, Sarah. He says, how would you compare availability of trade workers in Detroit versus Pittsburgh?
That's a good question. Um, I mean, I don't see any major issues with the trade workers here. I would say it's probably I would say more I personally have seen more qualified people in Pittsburgh. Um, but there's still a lot of, really good contractors here, but it depends what you're looking for too. A lot of we need people that are licensed and insured when we're operating, with them on a lot of our properties for our clients and for us. But if you're just looking for a guy that that started a thing on the side, there's that too. But I would definitely say that there's more in Pittsburgh is and I would say more established as well.
Oh, sorry. I what was I gonna say now? Oh, I know. Um, I know some people that are investing in Pittsburgh. They're finding that finding contractors can be somewhat difficult.
Yeah.
Do
I
you?
think everywhere.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I think it depends. Like, when I worked in Georgia, I worked in Savannah and we were building an arena out there. That was back when I was doing construction. That was so hard to find. It was impossible. We had people coming from North Carolina, South Carolina. They would stay for the week to do the job because there was nothing there. And, so I think it just depends on the area, but I still think there are a lot of really good contractors in Pittsburgh. I met a lot of I know Liam knows them. I mean, Omar is one of them. There's a lot of I think people get burned by a lot though too.
So before I bring up Flavio's question, Sarah Garrett, who was another speaker at year two for the One Rent at a Time event, she's investing in Savannah. She's in the Georgia area.
That's
Her and
awesome.
the husband are in the military, so they use the VA loan, and that's kind of their strategy. And they want paid off homes, so they're not going for a huge portfolio. But what was your ties again to Savannah? Did you ever look at investing there?
Um That was really before I found investing, honestly. I lived there years ago now. I when I was working for a large general contractor and I was traveling, um, I went there to as a project manager to we built an arena down there called the End Market Arena. It was for the ice hockey intercoastal or East Coastal League, and then it's like a concert venue. So, it was a cool job, but that's what I was there for. I was there purely doing that, and then actually while I was there is when I really started, getting into investing. But to that being said, I would definitely invest there. I think, but I don't know enough about the market to speak on it, but it's a great area, and especially for like short-term rentals too. I'm not sure if it's oversaturated there or not, but it is a good market. There's a lot around there.
Yeah, she said the prices have kind of skyrocketed the past
It
few
is
years.
expensive, especially in the city, it's
Yeah.
really expensive, but there's so much history there too, like, some of those they're just these massive, like, brick and stone buildings, especially in the city itself, but then you have a couple islands there too, like, I lived on one of the islands when I was there, and those are, you know, a little bit better, I think, but, yeah, it's a regardless of investing or not, it's a great place to check out.
All right, we'll get to Flavio's question now. He says, Sarah, have you felt that you need to wear a vest in some areas in Detroit? Any bad experiences?
I have not had any bad experiences, but I think that could be asked anywhere. Just anywhere you go, I could get robbed in an A-class area. So, but no, Detroit's good.
Well, now I'll bring up something on the side then, since Jeremy's always telling me he's a power lifter and all this kind of stuff and how strong he. I know Sarah, you are somewhat of a avid lifter also, right? So have you lifted
Yeah, I
with
power
Jeremy
lift.
before? Yeah.
No, I have not lifted with him before. I know he is strong, and he has competed and hold some records, I think. But yeah, I am competing actually in a couple of weeks. But yeah, I've not lifted with him.
What? He's telling me you guys haven't hit the gym together and see who is stronger?
Oh, he's definitely stronger, but I think I can hold my own.
All right, all right. Hey, what's up, Charles? Charles is here, so thanks for. I am back from Japan, and we'll connect. I know he wants to work on some things and helping with the school community, so I'll reach out to you later, Charles. But yeah. Anything else you guys want to touch on? Any other stuff you guys are working on? Liam, you want to mention anything about Pittsburgh? Maybe. Uh, oh, I think. Are you muted? Can you hear him, Sarah?
No.
Oh, yeah, I can't hear you, Liam.
How about now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, there
cool.
you go.
Yeah, I must have pressed that on the mic by accident. But yeah, nothing. I mean, things are going steady still. Other than a little bit more inventory, creating some more opportunities for buyers right now. Uh, that news yesterday was exciting for us, but still plenty of time to get in before kind of things really pop off from my view.
What about you, Sarah? Anything you want to mention about Detroit?
I think overall, I mean, it's a good place to invest in and to be. I've been getting more into the commercial small multifamily. I was kind of talking to Chad about that. Our current CEO, he likes to do syndications, and we have a couple properties that we've done syndications on. So I'm really starting to get a lot more interest in that as well. So I'm hoping to get something larger here in the next year or so.
All right, that perfect for Harrison's question. He says, What are both of your current buy boxes? What kind of property would make you excited?" So on that note, Sarah, I know, is there a lot of small multis in the Detroit area also?
There are just not necessarily on market. The on market is, but if you're driving around, you'll find them. So I do use Deal Machine too, and so I can kind of get a little bit more insight on stuff. And the MLS has insights too. But you know, I I do like house hacking a lot, so I am trying to find, a 2 to 4. It's a little bit the prices are a little bit higher in the metro area than relative to Pittsburgh. So, so that's kind of like my, next goal here. I've been actively looking, but I don't want to overpay. So I've been kind of look off market a little bit. But eventually here in the next, year and a half, I'd like to start getting into, more commercial, small multifamily and, get a 10 unit or something like that.
Nice. What about you, Liam? I don't know if does your portfolio have anything like that, like on the 10 unit side, or are you?
No, I'd
Uh,
like to get into it though. So my last W-2 job was I was a third party commercial real estate underwriter, and I took that job because I was interested in getting to commercial at some point. But for now, building my kind of capital base and portfolio out of 1 to 4 unit residential stuff. But my buy box, it kind of depends. Like I have a variety of things that I would look for. Kind of my goal is to just, if I ever see a deal that I like, just have no reason to pass on it. Um, whether it's experience or capital or whatever. If I see a good deal, I want to be able to buy it. So with single family houses, well, I'm looking primarily for more value add stuff because the capital base that I do have, I want to be able to retain that and kind of recycle the same funds. So generally, I'm looking for more value add burr type stuff. Um, I also like the house hacks too. It's just hard to keep the wife happy in terms of like where she wants to live and
Yeah.
stuff. So she's a bit pickier than I am. but keeping an open mind with house hacks. But single family stuff, generally single family burrs that, maybe 30 to $80,000 purchase price, 50 to $80,000 rehab, and ARV like 150 to 200,000. So I can create some equity, still cash flow it. So that's on the single family side. On the multifamily side, I'd like to get to the point where I can just plop down like 20, 25%, call it a day and let something cash flow, but generally still looking for more value add. So like if I see we don't see a ton of them, but like a great value add duplex or triplex, fourplex type thing, I'd like to be able to tackle those, refi out some of the capital at some point, and then I'll kind of opportunistically look for some flips as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that, that's the biggest thing is people sometimes overanalyze and they're trying to figure out should I go single family, small multi, and then you kind of
Mhm.
touched on it. You just want to be able to attack any deal that
Yeah.
presents itself based on the return, right? So
Yep.
Flavio is asking me, do I recommend Japan to invest or visit? Well, Japan was awesome. It was just super humid. This time of year is probably the worst time of the year to go to Japan. So you leave the hotel and it's just super humid there at this time. But the it took us a little while to get the transit down, but and of course the language barrier. But I can't imagine people trying to travel, 30, 40 years ago or whatever without a smartphone. It
Yeah,
definitely, yeah. I mean, even like paying, you can just use your phone. If you have, you can have an app and you don't have to actually buy a ticket anymore. You just scan it and you scan it when you get off and things like that. So it's super helpful, even the, Google Translate and whatnot. But we did go on some tours and I think it's just a lot like everywhere. There is affordable homes out there, but a lot of times they're very far from the city. There's no jobs out there, so a lot of times the younger population are trying to stay closer to the city where the jobs are. So you do have affordable homes, but they're far out there, and I think that's what Japan is facing right now. There's a lot of homes that I think one of my friends in Hawaii, just bought one for kind of their family and the in-laws because they go and visit, but it was like 60K for a home. But you're really on the outskirts, right? So to get to the city, you got to travel. But they're just using it to visit and have a place to stay. But yeah, if you can, I would go visit Japan. Japan is great. I had whale tongue sushi and raw horse meat. I tried
Wow.
interesting. How
Yeah,
was
I'd love to
that?
visit.
it. I actually thought those dishes would be a lot more flavorful. They were kind of bland, but I had to try them. So
Yeah.
uh,
Definitely.
let's see. Charles is asking Sarah, how about consulting via photos for national code or just point out concerns? Hmm. Wait, Sarah.
You mean like inspections? I mean, I'm not an inspector, but we know inspectors. But I mean, I'm happy to consult via phone if you have any questions. Yeah, just shoot me a message on Instagram. I'd be happy to connect.
Let's see. Stan, I agree. Yeah, Google Map. So Stan is like a world traveler. He's a passport bro. His white. Nah, I'm just playing. But Stan, he said, I agree. Google Maps make getting around Japan really easy. But if I didn't have my phone, it would be impossible to get around Tokyo. Yeah, so I think that's one of those things too. Even like tour guides, they are kind of you don't see as many tour guide companies and whatnot, but
Yeah,
definitely the smartphone has made it a lot easier to get around. Cody's asking, did I pick up? So Cody is this big dude, football player. He played at Indiana, I believe. I forget. But he's in Wisconsin now. He's an investor in Wisconsin. But he was at the ORAD event in Vegas also. And to try to see this big guy use chopsticks to eat ramen was one of the most entertaining things I ever saw. So I told him he has to practice before next year's Vegas event. But yeah, it was a great time. I mean, if anyone can go, I think, and the U.S. dollar is so much stronger right now too. So everything just seems super cheap. Just eating, like even that sushi dinner we had with some of the people. I mean, it probably would have been like $200 or something in Hawaii, but it was like $60 there, I
that's
guess.
crazy.
Yeah. But the one, my only they don't have like Diet Coke. They don't have like low sugar monsters. Like it's impossible to find. That's my one thing I'm gonna complain about.
What caffeine do they drink then? Tea or something?
No, no, I mean they have. So I think if I had to guess, and I talked to one of the, but I think they don't really like maybe diet drinks as far as maybe the chemicals or what's
Yeah, makes
used in.
sense.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
think it's very difficult. They have like Coke Zero, but they don't have Diet Coke. And
Okay.
yeah, and you have vending machines everywhere, so you can buy drinks. And my other my other little complaint is gonna be I don't know if it's nothing is like super cold. Like even if you buy it at the
Oh,
mini mart, so they're like I mean it's chilled, but it's not like you buy it and it's like, oh, is this the drink is like ice cold. It's just like
yeah, I
that's
hate warm pop.
was not yeah, I'm not gonna say it's
Even room
warm.
temperature, it's
Yeah, so that's my only thing. Yeah,
interesting.
Flavio can't go to Japan because he still has a flip phone, so you'll get lost. Yeah, Flavio, don't go there, man. Um, the only sugar alternative is stevia drinks, which are strange. Yeah, so even like the Coke Zero, it just doesn't
It tastes
taste the
different.
same to me. Um, yeah, see, so stands. Oh, yeah, Osaka and Fukuoka. So I went to Osaka first, and then Fukuoka. And yeah, there's vending machines everywhere on the streets. Like I said, you can buy drinks anywhere. It's just it's so humid this time of year. It's like I'm hoping to get this ice cold drink from the vending machine, and I open it. I'm like, shit. Like so, but yeah, it was a great time though. Let's see what else. Yeah, so I'm assuming, Sarah, you haven't been to Japan then?
No, I have not, but I had a friend that went and recommended it for sure, especially
Yeah.
Tokyo.
Yeah, so my son wants to go to Okinawa next year. So this was part of his like he's in elementary, but they had like a neighbor school program. So he went to visit two different schools while he was there. But yeah, he had a lot of fun. But he wants to go to Okinawa or Tokyo next year. So that's kind of going to be our push for the elementary school. Put our recommendations that maybe they can
Yeah, that would be
find.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So what? So wait, let's touch on your powerlifting competition then. I mean, what is when's the last one that you did, and how are you preparing for this one?
Yeah, this is my first one. I've been lifting for probably like, I don't know, 12 years, but I did more like bodybuilding lifting, and it wasn't as consistent. And I got into powerlifting about a year ago. There's a woman I follow. Her name is Jen Thompson. She just turned 52, I think, and she holds a ton of records. She's weighs like 130 pounds and she bench presses like 330. So
Whoa.
she is very badass. Yeah, and she held a trip June of last year, and I went with her and like 10 other women to Costa Rica, and yeah, and it was amazing. And that's when I really was like, all right, like I really want to start doing this. So I kind of shifted into powerlifting, and I've been doing it for about a year now. And I work with a coach. He's local, and yeah, we've been just trying to progress my lifts. They're not they're nowhere near where I want them to be. But I've made a lot of progress. So this will be my first one on August 3rd. I'm actually doing two in the same month, only because I have to do two to qualify for states. So but yeah, it's training. I mean, I train 5 days a week. It just depends on the person, but mm, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm trying to get my bench up right now. That's been the one that's been the hardest.
yeah. There's so much technique involved. Are you on peptides by any chance? I hear everyone promoting
No.
peptides and no.
I don't do peptides, and I mean I mean peptides you would be fine, but like the substance ban list for powerlifting is like huge. I don't even know half the stuff on there. So I just might as well just not I just say creatine. That's it. Like anything else it's like I don't know. Plus I just feel like it's cheating in my opinion. I don't know.
Mm.
Like if you're doing bodybuilding and like I know you to win like for some of them you have to do like, steroids and stuff, but I don't know. I know peptides work. I just don't have an interest in that.
Yeah, Diet Coke's probably on the ban list or something.
I still drink that, but you're
No,
probably right.
yeah. Uh, all right, Liam. So what let's see how let me see I think for investors reaching out recently. How's everyone doing that's reaching out to you guys? Anyone finding some deals right now?
Yeah, it seems like some of the people I've connected with from the chat are still getting a sense of the market and stuff like that. Like Steven, he'll text us some questions every now and then. I'll chime in on properties here and there. So that seems to be how it's going right now. Um, the guy we had on last time from, was it Detroit? Yeah, I think so. Well, what he referred someone, so I've been talking to her. Her name's Shelly. She's looking for something. Uh, Discussing a place with her later today. But yeah, still getting a sense of the market. But good progress in terms of like actually talking over some deals and stuff like that, and seeing what things are looking like.
Awesome. Yeah, so maybe Sarah too, wrap things up with your market. I mean, are you seeing things with like appraisal issues or what kind of lending options do you think people are using in your market? Do you have connections with local lenders and whatnot?
Yeah, I do. I have connections with local lenders. I think the biggest thing I wanted to kind of say is what when Liam talked earlier on value add, a lot of people, I think if you're willing to do value add, you'll have a better time, at least here, finding a good deal. Because a lot of people don't want that. They just want to get turnkey, but you're gonna overpay for it, in my opinion. So I think you need to you can on market a lot of the times I think investors will fix it up then post it, and list it, and then you're paying a premium. So if you can find something, and we do have the multifamilies here and single that you can get and get a value add. But I think there's opportunity everywhere. When people say there isn't, they're not wrong. There is. It's you just some it might be harder to find, but there's still opportunity.
All right. So before we wrap things up, if you guys want to reach out to Sarah or Liam, there is their links in the chat. So go connect with them if you have questions. Hopefully, Chester, who wasn't able to make it, who he has a property in Detroit. Like I said, he has some management issues. I believe he just fired his property manager. Maybe he'll be able to reach out to you, Sarah. But yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully you had some fun. Hopefully we'll get you, back on again. Get some people investing in your market if they, for whatever reason, don't want to invest in Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
Liam, anything you want to wrap things up with before we sign off?
No, I think that's everything. Just anybody who has any questions, feel free to reach out.
All right, this was another good one. Hopefully, everyone got a lot of good information. Two great markets to invest in, Pittsburgh and Detroit, and reach out to Liam and Sarah. And I will see everyone, I believe. I don't know. I might be back Friday. I forget. I can't even remember. I'm trying to schedule everything. But if not, Wednesday next week, I'll have the Deacon and Omar on. So